No, this is not a farming community somewhere in the Plains States. Nor is it a ranching town somewhere in the Midwest. Despite its appearance, it's right here in Fairfax County, in the sleepy little town of Clifton. The drive into the town takes you through a scenic countryside, down a winding, hilly road lined by trees and fields of wildflowers. Many families live on farms or in houses surrounded by large areas of land. You won't find any children walking to school here. All of Clifton Elementary's 470 students ride to school. With one of the largest school boundaries in the area, some of these children are on the bus for 40 minutes. Upon arrival, these eager students are greeted by a welcoming staff. They then head to the cafeteria or to the gym for an unusual educational experience called Before School Chats. This activity addresses the unique needs of students who at home don't have neighbors close by. It's an opportunity for them to release a little energy and to bond before the school day begins.
Clifton Elementary School has a variety of opportunities for children to participate as a member of the community. The children come from homes where they're fairly spread out. So what we try to do here at Clifton is to create an environment that is very close and very family-like in its orientation.
This family atmosphere is evident throughout the school. During their 7 years together, the students here become very acquainted with each other.
This group of kids is very unique because we're a small school. We only have 2 teachers per grade level, so a lot of these kids have been together since they were in kindergarten. They've been best friends since then, and they've moved up through the grades. A lot of them have been in the same class together since first grade, so they're very, very tight, and they go on to 7th grade at Robinson, which is huge.
That's right. And how did
the staff is also a tight-knit group who help each other to grow professionally and to be their best.
I think what separates Clifton as a school is the dynamic, energetic, enthusiastic staff that's here, and I think that enthusiasm translates to the kids. We have a staff who teams together to provide the best program that's possible for children.
To augment their efforts, the Clifton staff has a large team of volunteers at their disposal. In addition to the encouragement and support they give their children at home, these parents play a big role in the classroom.
The parents at Clifton Elementary School are very involved in this school and give hundreds and hundreds of volunteer hours. They do that in a variety of ways. They serve certainly on the PTA, but in addition, they serve as volunteers in the library, in our computer lab, in our take-home reading program. So on an average, even though this is a relatively small school, we have between 10 and 12 parents in our building every day, serving in a variety of ways.
These elements, the closeness of the students, the teamwork of the teachers, and the support of the parents, work in unison to help students reach their academic potential and enjoy a successful elementary journey.
Our goal here at Clifton Elementary School is to create an atmosphere where optimal learning can occur. And we try to do that both as a staff and a community by building opportunities for students to demonstrate their social and their personal growth. And we do that by creating an environment in which kids feel safe, where their learning is stimulated, and where they are certainly feeling secure.
That feeling of security certainly can't be hurt by the natural environment provided by the school's rural setting. At lunchtime, children bask in the peace and serenity of the courtyard.
Okay, go ahead.
Or turn this natural setting into a platform for studying nature. During recess, they have at their disposal an elaborate playground set made possible by parent volunteers. While the playground and the school setting are nice amenities,
what are the angles always in equilateral training?
They're always the same.
the most important aspect of the Clifton Elementary experience is the academic program.
The instructional program at Clifton develops a strong and diversified knowledge base. What we're attempting to do here is to provide students with the opportunities to develop communication skills and problem-solving strategies that they'll need as lifelong learners. The instructional program emphasizes the integration of language arts, as well as critical thinking skills throughout the content areas, including mathematics, science, social studies, and the arts.
All of this is done with a focus, not on pushing each child to make straight A's, but on helping each child work to her or his own potential. Through the citizenship list, which is published in the school newsletter, the staff recognizes excellence in areas such as citizenship and study skills. The publication identifies those who have shown commitment to improving self-discipline as well as respect for self and others.
An ant is an insect. Ant. Ant. 3 letters.
All activities are designed to foster skills that will be used for a lifetime, such as critical thinking.
And everybody had it correct. Ant.
Including this spelling lesson.
We're going to switch 1 letter, another 3-letter word, and we're going to make the word tar. Tar. Think about what you hear at the beginning and what you hear at the end. Tar.
They're starting to hear the sounds, hear the phonetic patterns, and actually apply those patterns. They're starting to learn the short vowel sounds and the patterns of long vowel markings, the blends. They're hearing the blends. It's a phonics and a spelling program combined.
All right. That was a real challenge word. Eric's going to come up and show us how to do it, and you can check yours against his. Eric.
Rather than giving them a spelling list and where they memorize the words and then feedback on a Friday spelling test, this encourages them to actually manipulate the letters and sound out the words, and it carries over in their writing a lot better as far as application, where before they would memorize the words and they'd get it perfect on the test, and the next day they'd spell the word wrong.
We have some ways that we are going to be dependent upon each other today to complete our assignment. Each one of you in the group will have a certain role or job to do.
The ability to communicate is another skill that these youngsters will use for a lifetime.
This is really fun. No. Okay, well, one at a time. No, actually, this one will. Well, not really. This might. I would have to say magnetite. Yeah, magnetite. Other one. Which is number 11.
In this 4th grade class, students work together to identify minerals using the streak test. At the same time, they're learning how important it is to establish eye contact with each other and to restate what they think they've heard.
But it also did like kind of orange streak. It did like, yeah. So I would say it's also a different color shape.
I thought they were working very well together. At the end of the lesson, we talked about things that they did well, and they said that they listened to each other well and they shared well. Things that I saw them doing was rephrasing each other's answers, asking for their opinions and then rephrasing each other's answers.
I don't think quartz would do.
No, quartz would only do quartz. Crystal, I don't think crystals.
When we read our story yesterday, what story do you remember? What was the name of it? The very
fat caterpillar.
The very hungry caterpillar, that's right. And how did that caterpillar start out? As an egg. Okay, here's that word egg. Remember when we studied the letter E? Said in the word egg, it kind of sounds like an A, doesn't it? Okay. So we started off.
These kindergarten children are learning about the magical transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly. This and other topics in nature not only teach students about science, but also serve as a theme for teaching language arts.
That's a brand new word, isn't it? When we look in the caterpillar's jar, at the bottom where there's all of the crushed up food, okay, have you noticed there are little round circles now on top of that? Well, that's the food after it's gone through the caterpillar, and that's called frass. So there's a word for that, and we need to learn that word. Let me hear you say it. Okay.
Integrating different curriculum areas is at the core of the teaching philosophy at Clifton.
What's this called?
The importance of integrating the content areas, whether it's writing in science or in social studies or in math, is to get kids to dissolve their thinking that these are separate compartmentalized subject areas that don't have any relationship to each other. They certainly do, and it's important that a child, when they're in their science class, remembers that it's important to think critically and to solve problems in science, but also be able to articulate what it is that they're learning in science and what problem that they're solving in science, and be able to write that down in a language that's going to be understood by other people.
All right, stand up. Show them yours. Is he symmetrical? No. Is a butterfly symmetrical? Yes. One wing, or the decorations on each wing are exactly the same as on the other side.
And you put one at that right there, you have to put it that right there.
That's right. And nature did that for them, didn't it?
Each part of the picture was balanced and tied together in some way. Okay, let's share these a little bit and see what you've done, telling us, do you feel that your picture is symmetrical or asymmetrical in terms of balance? How did you achieve it? And what did you do?
These fourth graders are taking part in a lesson combining language arts with a study of art.
Okay, so your task then was to take a folded piece of construction paper that we had, the white paper. May I borrow yours, Danny? Okay, and we divided it into quarters, and then you were to compose a picture, a scene or a design, and your task was to make sure that you had achieved a sense of balance.
The approach is also being applied at the first grade level.
That's good enough. Okay,
That's about good enough. You got my straw?
Okay, that's very good.
Okay.
Now lift it over on the back and put it down on top of the
Mommy,
thing.
look.
That's right.
Whoa.
Okay, put it down right on it.
Fine.
Very good. Now lift it up. Amara.
These activities were designed by two of Clifton's very own.
Linda Noss, the reading teacher, and myself were awarded a grant this quarter for using art with language arts. It's called Exploring Literacy Through Art. And basically what we've done is we've developed a program that enriches the language arts using the works of fine artists, using books about art, and having the children not only experiment with writing, but experimenting with art at the same time, using a lot of different mediums of art. And we find that it not only, or we hope to find that it enhances their critical thinking skills, their language skills, as well as their artistic skills, their writing and their visual art skills, making of art.
As a result of the grant, which was awarded by Impact 2, the school has been able to purchase art books, prints, and other materials needed to implement these activities into the classroom.
All right. What could be some suggestions if you were going to change this, if you were going to add anything to it, to pull in the background? What would you do?
You could draw a three-dimensional square and then draw like a window, and then inside of that window you could put like clouds or trees, and then on the scape of that you could put like where the and then you make it kind of three-dimensional and put like curtains or a table or something.
At the 4th grade level, students are developing figurative language and learning about the processes involved in creating art and literature. The younger students are using an experiment in texture to complement their writing. The Clifton staff is paying close attention to developing students' language art skills while at the same time placing an emphasis on math and science.
This is the water density, and we'll be dropping 2 eggs in each container, and you'll have to be predicting of what happens in each container.
This event was the Math Technology Science Fair, an annual opportunity for students at all grade levels to show off what they've learned. The halls were flooded with children and parents as they made their way through a barrage of demonstrations, displays, presentations, and creations. Several local professionals were also on hand to share a bit of their expertise.
It's laughing at you. It's mocking you. Come on, give it a thump. Let's go. Bring her on back. You can do it. Okay, now, real quick.
It really is to make sure that the kids understand the excitement about math and science, so that we're trying to make sure that the kids have a sense of motivation and interest and see those as careers and professions that they could be involved in.
These children were like walking, talking science encyclopedias, just bubbling with knowledge. They were enthusiastic about their projects and excited to share what they had learned. Here's just a small sampling of what they had to offer.
We're the CARE committee, and it stands for Kids Are Recycling Everywhere. And this is a demonstration of how to clean pots using like natural resources. And what you do is just put a little of lemon juice onto the pot, and then you put a lot of salt. And you scrub it with one of these, and it gets all the stuff off of it.
This is an electrical loop which contains a light bulb that lights up with friction.
These are the tadpoles, and these are, we got them from another teacher in the school, and some of them already have legs, and they're gonna grow up to be a big frog.
Hi, my name is Interdisciplinary, and we were supposed to do a little house design, and this is my house. It has checkered floor. The stairs go up into the wall, and I learned area, perimeter, and volume. It helps me do this. Rub it on your head to make friction, and then you put it down, and the salt collects up. It collects the salt, and the pepper stays down on some of the pepper, mostly salt though.
These are chicks, and there were 8 of them, but one of them died because it was crippled, so now there's 7.
And they're 2 weeks old, and they were born out of that incubator over there. And the shells over there has veins in it because they were born out of veins. And right now they're taking a chick nap. And the sponges were in the incubator were to keep it moist because it has to stay moist for them. It has to stay very moist.
Hi, my name is Kristen Kelly, and our project is pendulums, and what we do is we have to try to see how many times the pendulum can make a cycle back and forth, and you pick a number, and then you times it by 6, so instead of counting a whole minute, you just times it by 6. And we decided to do this project because we had a great time doing it, and also it made us think and help us learn our multiplication better by timesing it. And it's just a really fun project to do, and we had a great time.
We pick which game we want to play, then we you can change it to harder and easier and stuff. How you do it is you have to like look at the screen and like look at the objects, and you press the number on the keyboard that you think's the right answer.
Hands-on learning keeps students' interest and helps solidify what they've learned, giving them a deeper understanding of concepts. The Share Fair illustrates how Clifton is providing such opportunities. In addition to this event,
This is a bromeliad.
first graders got a special opportunity to culminate their learning and see firsthand what they had been hearing about in the classroom.
To attract the birds, so that the birds would come and then pollinate that flower, so that all over the rainforest there would be all kinds of pretty flowers like that.
They traveled to the U.S. Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C. to wrap up their study of the environment and ecosystems.
The students loved it. They were able to really touch the plants that they'd seen pictures of and we had read stories about. They were able to have their questions answered. They were able to actually see the plants in their natural habitat. There were some water animals that they got a chance to see, and they really enjoyed the freedom of being able to travel from room to room and look at the plants.
Oh, there he is. And there's the fish. Watch out. There's a fish. Turtle. There's a turtle right there. There, I can't see.
Wow. You guys see the turtle?
I see the fish.
I think he's probably him. There he goes. He's pushing the little.
He's
swimming right there. Yeah, coming toward it.
While the emphasis at Clifton is on math and science skills, the important subject of social studies is not put on the back burner. As part of an intensive study of the Westward movement, these sixth graders are rehearsing for a play called How the West Was Really Won.
One of our objectives for the Westward movement is for kids to learn about what it was like for men, women, and children and minorities moving westward. We get into how the Indians were treated, and through research and cooperative learning, we dispelled a lot of myths about what it was really like. For example, some of the kids realized or researched that cowboys weren't always killed by Indians. Cowboys were killed by lightning strikes more than anything else, not the Indians. It also talks about how the Chinese and the Irish helped build the railroad and how basically they were treated as slaves, and they were either worked for nothing or worked for hardly anything at all. It really gets into the women's role in the West and how the women were the ones who really helped the West develop to what it is today. And the play talks about how there's a little bit of West in everybody, and how Americans are always searching and looking for something a little better, and it's a very patriotic play.
You've got snowstorms, we've got dirt. Living in a sod house, there's dirt everywhere. Dirt's always falling from the ceiling. I have to cook, holding an umbrella over my pots just to keep the dirt out. But we love it, yes we love it. We love the life we're living out west.
Preparing for a musical of this caliber is no small feat. After the students worked with the music teacher to learn the musical parts, they studied the speaking parts at home and in the classroom. The parents also joined the act as they created costumes and donated set pieces.
I had hay in my room, 5 bushels of hay in my room, and we have had them bringing in costumes and cowboy hats and cowboy boots and quilts and overalls, anything that goes with the West, and they're having a blast. We try to keep our mornings pretty structured and stay with our regular schedule, but then the afternoon, it's play rehearsal every afternoon. So the extra 30 minutes on the day, we haven't even noticed because we spend it with play rehearsal. So they're having a great time.
I think that the West was more than they portrayed in the TV shows and in the books, that it was harder for a lot of people to manage in their life, and that especially for the pioneers. They were going into a new land that they didn't know about, and they had a lot to deal with, more than we do today.
Activities such as this play are part of a school-wide effort to raise the students' awareness of the struggles of women and minorities, past and present.
3 teachers at our school last year noticed that girls ended up in the 5th and 6th grade not having a voice. They were afraid to speak up and often were not heard. So we were concerned about giving them a piece of themselves. So we had a fellowship. We applied for a fellowship, and we were able all summer long to read books about women. And we read in different areas. We read about their history. We read about myths and stories in the literature. And we also read about the different behaviors of women in the past.
In the middle of the night, and so she went into the best story, and the king started.
And this year we're integrating all this information in the classroom so that the girls perhaps will have a voice in a bigger base of where they have been.
So here is odd.
Pioneer women kept diaries, while the Indian women wove the history of their tribes into their blankets because they didn't have any written language.
I really like this play because it takes both sides of the story, and all the mothers and the teachers and the parents really worked hard to get this thing going, and without them, none of this stuff could have happened.
When Clifton Elementary is mentioned around the county, frequently the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, that's the school on the hill. While the scenery is nice, the school should be recognized for a great deal more. Undertakings such as fellowships and grants are evidence of the terrific enthusiasm felt by teachers. The practicality of the academic program is demonstrated through activities which emphasize critical thinking, problem solving, and the integration of curriculum areas. And the Cardinal List, before-school chats, and minority awareness activities attest to the staff's dedication to maximizing each student's potential. All of these factors, along with the support of a large corps of parent volunteers, allow Clifton students to enjoy a successful elementary experience filled with discovery and achievement.
We have done this for, we decided when?
4 years.
For 4 years, since you were in kindergarten?
First grade.
First grade. Okay, so we think since first grade. He started it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it started out with you just pressing your nose up against the window.
No, I didn't do that. I purposely did it.
Is that right? You made that goofy face on purpose? Okay, fine.